once upon a time, in my earlier incarnation, one of my early incarnations, I was in charge of petroleum, or energy in this country. So I've been listening to those who have talked here before. I've seen Wanjiku, not our usual constitution Wanjiku, talk, and she was talking a completely different language from the other, another language completely, when he was telling us about his experience in the village in Kirinyaga. And then now we hear the KPC talking another different language. Somebody is telling you that I'm so full up. I've eaten too much that I'm almost bursting with food. And somebody out there saying I'm starving. There's no food here. Is it the same world, the same country? But we all know the cause of what we are going through here. It's a global issue, as you know. Caused, you can say, artificially. In my view, because of a war that did not have to happen. I don't know whether some wars have to happen, but because of that. Another thing is our preparedness as a country to deal with situations like this. Because you must know that this kind of situation will always be happening in the future. So a country must all the time be prepared for any kind of emergencies. When I was a Prime Minister, I constituted a task force on the petroleum industry. And the guy who was chairing it is with us here, Mr. Elisha Kasuku. That Mr. Kasuku. And they dealt with a number of issues. One is ullage allocation and operational issues. The other one was taxes. The other one was petroleum products pricing control. Another one was storage and strategic reserve. Another one was quality control. And the sixth one was licensing of marketers and operators. So this is, they dealt in detail about these issues about the importation, storage, and distribution of petroleum products in the country, so that the customer or the consumer does not have to suffer unnecessarily because of issues that have been artificially caused here. The issue of the wholesaler and the relationship between the wholesaler and the retailer. Here you've got the big marketers who have got a bit of cushion because they've got the financial muscle, you know, to be able to pay or to borrow from the banks and bring in large stocks if they can, if the small scale dealer like the one in Kirinyaga cannot get, they then give their own outlets. So you now have these issues of monopoly, that you are the wholesaler, they also are the retailer at the same time. You know, competing with a small retailer out there in Kirinyaga. Now you ask yourself, je, hiyo ni ungwana? Hii ni ungwana kweli? So it is an issue that really needs to be dealt with properly, and because the government, of course, has also the strategic, the reserve to come in at a times like this. But the government also does not have any other source. Government has to collect taxes from the people. And if the prices are much higher than the taxes the government is collecting, where does the government get that additional fund to pay? So this is an issue that requires a much more extensive national discussions, that we come up truly with a solution so that we deal with these issues, not like an emergency, that we are responding to an emergency, but we have a proper roadmap on how we deal with these issues even in the future. I think this would be my proposal, that we cushion the consumer from the suffering which is going on right now at the moment. In future, I've also talked to our friend from the Kenya Pipeline Corporation. This country needs to address the issues of strategic reserves properly. And that we need to have strategic reserves not at the port but inland. Because as you know, an enemy can just come and go down to Mombasa and bomb your reserve there at the port. The country will be completely paralyzed. Then they will just march into you the way Russia has marched into Ukraine. There's nothing you can do because you have no fuel. All your tanks cannot move. So we need to do this as a matter of urgency, to begin to put up strategic reserves across the country in places where they are not vulnerable, so that we are not taken by surprise in future. I'm happy that at least the government has now responded temporarily, and that is going to help ease the suffering of our people for now. But I think that all the stakeholders in this industry need to sit down and work out a more comprehensive program of how to deal with this kind of situation in the future, in terms of importation and distribution across board. And if this is done, in my view, we will not be able to face a situation like this in the near future. It's a situation that is avoidable. It can be done, and it can only be done with cooperation among all the stakeholders across this supply chain. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Let us appreciate again the Right Honourable Raila Odinga. We want to come to a close, ladies and gentlemen, and again we want to really thank you for this presentation. We believe ourselves that the way to it's not enough just to highlight problems out there in the political podium, that it is far better, frankly, to sit together as sector, as industry, and craft solutions together. I think we are all sympathetic to what Mr. Shomba did say, that the selling price is fixed, but what they are buying us at is no longer fixed, and that therefore their margins have been squeezed to the point that they are closing. And therefore, I think that this is an immediate thing for us to address, and we all agree with Wanjiku and the Right Honourable Prime Minister about this question of the stabilization fund and the operationalization of these rules. Ladies and gentlemen, we propose to bring it to a close. May I request you to remain seated to allow the Prime Minister an opportunity to leave, and then the rest of us can. So let us appreciate the Right Honourable Prime Minister Raila Odinga and thank him for.
Well, thank you.